The sad case of Lord Jamar. Now, before I start, I'm not here to express some kind of minor dislike for Lord Jamar simply because I didn't like his opinion or something. Not at all. In fact, there are some views we have in common, but that doesn't make us comrades. I wanted to talk to Mr. Deschalou for some time now, but due to my naturally human habits, I would either procrastinate, back down, or simply stop caring, assuring myself that this issue is no longer of importance to me. But it would be too selfish of me to diminish the value of this message and not go for it. In the last episode of his You're Not a Mean podcast with Rod Digger, Jamar stated that he wanted some real food for thought. So let's get started. Lorenzo Deschalou is an evil, insecure, and delusional man with a very narrow mind. And no, this is not a pointless insult, but more of a psychoanalysis. Lorenzo's unhealthy ego, distorted self-image, and lack of self-respect and self-love make up a dangerous combination that birth dictators and murderers. Am I saying that Lorenzo is as much of a threat as Hitler? No. Thankfully, he's not smart enough, so don't dramatize. But his way of thinking, however, does come from an ideology to which we as humans lost many of innocent minds and lives. Lorenzo was once a part of a hip-hop group named Brand Nubian, and his rhymes were filled with pseudo-intellectual gibberish, and despite his quiet militant views and hatred of the white man, he was still well-fed and met with open arms in Europe through their touring life. It's important to mention that I am a hip-hop kid, student of it, and a professional musician. So Lorenzo, this is not coming from just anyone with an opinion. I peak more than you think, and I don't have to squint to see the bullshit in you. Your mediocre skills, whether it's production, rhymes, or acting, is not what makes you a laughable character. That mediocrity, however, does make it harder for me to understand where exactly all of this arrogance and entitlement are coming from. Since when did anyone owe you anything? You see, the problem is that the typical bottom-feeding scum like yourself love taking credit for things that have nothing to do with them, such as creating civilizations, science, supreme mathematics, and whatever else you may imagine. Now, to a level-headed, rationally thinking person, black, white, or other, this may seem like a bit of a stretch, but I assure you, Lord Jamar, pardon me, Lorenzo, does in fact believe those things. And let me clarify, I don't think he believes in those things, but he sure wants others to believe him, which is why he's willing to go an extra mile for it and make himself look like a complete buffoon in the process. His reputation depends on it. He insists he is a god, while the white man respectively is of the devil. Most of us are no strangers to the insanity that can be found in many of the modern American religious cults, from Hebrew Israelites to Nation of Islam, to the so-called Moorish Temple of Science, and the Nuwabians. We are looking at a pretty severe case of mental health issue, but somehow choose to let it slide. Perhaps it's because people underestimate some potential tragic consequences that they may face if they continue to entertain those psychopaths. Psychopaths who don't love their mothers and fathers. This is not a black and white issue. This is an issue of godless men walking this earth. Men who, due to their cowardly nature and complete lack of self-accountability, think that the solution is to find somebody to blame. They have nothing to lose and crave to lead others to their misery, even women and children. And this is not a personal attack. Though I don't owe anyone an explanation, I do not mind mentioning that I am in no way implying that I am perfect. Thanks to the Creator, He blessed me with the mind that I was willing to open up. And once I did, I found God. Now, am I implying that I am God? Absolutely not. My moral code and values would not allow me to do so, but I know that I am of God. Something you, Lorenzo, are not. And how sickening is it that you call yourself God with so much bravado and false confidence? You're such a narcissist. To feed your weak ego, you are willing to feed people the false idea of separation and senseless hate. You are willing to feed them the narrative of superiority without any true motivation to do better. You tell them that you deserve a special treatment, like a whiny little child. Think about it. I'll say it again. To feed your weak ego, you are willing to feed people poison. Poison that will never help them grow, poison that will never make you look good, and poison that is going to destroy you. Because you are of the devil. You are the culture vulture. In fact, as ugly as they are, vulture is still too graceful of a creature for you. You are a rat. You are what's wrong with the culture. You try to hold on to this illusion that this is some kind of a house to which you hold a special key, while you are not even the real contributor. You can't take credit for it. You are a leech yourself. So before you run your mouth while generalizing them about being parasites in our house, you are in fact being one. Tell me more about your oppressed life growing up in New Rochelle, while traveling to New York City, hanging out with a bunch of small-minded fools, thinking you the man, getting some false knowledge of self that you claim to possess. Then and now, your life was not that hard, Lorenzo. I know that because if it was, you would have been a lot more humble. You live in a decent community of Staten Island, among the so-called devils you always whine about, while smoking blunts in the comfort of your home and backyard where you make videos with your low-life peers like Sarnetter and his shady-ass crew. Rod Digger, let me take a moment to say that I'm glad I waited this long to say all of this. Prior to the last episode of your collaborative podcast with Lorenzo, I used to be somewhat disappointed in you. Not that you should care or not that I'm trying to insult you, because I like you. I was only disappointed in seeing how often you would let this guy slide with his ridiculous statements that you at times even agreed with, while your face and body language told the complete opposite. Through the supreme mathematics nonsense and many other contradictions he spews out, I would ask myself, why is she not speaking up if some things he says obviously bother her? But I believe that since you were a woman, you possessed a certain level of sensibility in recognizing right from wrong. And I do believe that. Now, I do have personal beliefs when it comes to women and men playing their respective roles when it comes to partnership and family. However, I do not believe that a female rapper is any less of a rapper, and it was very weak of Lorenzo to invalidate your arguments simply because you're a woman. Now, I assure you that all men don't think like that, and I hope you realize that it is his problem and not yours. He simply ran out of arguments. I was happy to see you boldly voice your opinions, not simply because they were opposed to his, but because they were yours. I finally believed you, and it made you shine. And notice how quick he was ready to attack you when you said that you could still lyrically hang with most of these cats today. Well, I want to see this happen. But if you were worshiping him, he would have been cheerleading for you. Obviously, you know of Lorenzo's nature, which is why you pulled out the sign you made for him in advance. He's too predictable. But unfortunately, at the end, he still managed to see all of this as you simply defending the white boy, due to his very small mind. Now, I'm not sure what any of that means to you today, and whether you are willing to continue this working relationship with someone who is as deeply in denial as your co-host, but I believe you will do the right thing, Miss Fisher. Lorenzo, you got so caught up in overanalyzing Eminem's diss record, you said it wasn't all that while cackling, and yet you got triggered. You got offended over a fetch me the remote line because it's a big no-no for a white man saying this to a black man. The God himself, Lord Jamar. How dare he? Fetch? You know, and the chubby guy next to you was sitting there shaking his head in disbelief, just infuriated. Wow, That's dangerous. He said, fetch, that's slavery talk. Please shut up. You sound stupid. You want to know what's dangerous? Dangerous is the fact that Lorenzo de Chalut is viewed by many as some sort of voice of reason, a hip-hop authority, or even worse, a wise elder. This is what's dangerous. Wanting a mass of people to think as a monolith is dangerous. That's what slavery is. Tell me how much more do you know about slavery? Lorenzo, you are suffering from your complexes. And the idea of hip-hop is beautiful. But what hip-hop as a whole is hurting from is that its consumers are accepting mediocrity. And you are benefiting from it. That's why you even have a voice. You are benefiting from your supporters' ignorance. And your false sense of superiority has no valid grounds besides some lunatic literature from your false leaders. You are quick to equate Eminem to a slave master, right? While exposing his devilish nature. But you are devilish like Dr. York. You are devilish like Khalid Muhammad. You're the same mind that pulled the trigger on Malcolm as soon as he found God and separated himself from evil. You are a fruit of that tree. Lying, hateful, and despicable. You are a weak man who doesn't mind making a buck for just being average. That's what you're all about. Where's your integrity? And you often mention that hip-hop is an alpha male genre and stated numerous times that you are one. But where? You are a child. You're not a god. You're not an inventor. You are nothing but a joke. And you, the black god, have called the white devil an ungrateful student since we invented science and taught those Europeans how to bathe. But Lorenzo, sorry to break this down for you, the year is 2018, and your boy Vlad gave you a job. He taught you how to make money, and you are slightly relevant only because of his channel. So you are being very, very ungrateful. And I love how much you deny it, because it's pretty humiliating to you, since your ego is fragile. And I am not a fan of Vlad, not a fan of Eminem, but they are who they say they are. Vlad is a tech guy who loved hip-hop. He used his education plus hobby to start a business. He gave you a platform on which he allows you to run your mouth and entertains your clowning while agreeing with you simply because it's business. The herd wants it and he gives it to them. He's another nutcase, but today it's about you, Lorenzo. You don't know what you stand for, which is why you drink and get high so much. And you could never meet me one-on-one either. And that's okay. The point is for you to face yourself and man up. And if you are half of a man you claim to be, then you should have no problem doing so. I don't hate you, and as a human I still have hope in you. And I think that you should consider smiling more and being more kind. It suits you better. Signing out.